Clap. Oh, you don't have to say it. Okay, I can. I get it.
Mayday, Mayday, Happy Brownie here. Welcome to the first episode. This is gonna be very interesting because I will definitely introduce a little bit about myself and about this journey in Taiwan, the place where I live. But I will have someone talking about this whole beautiful journey with me. That is my best friend. His name is Niels.
Yay, hello. My name is Niels.
All the way from France. He's here because we've known each other for so long, and I think since the beginning we've been through a whole change. We've experienced Taiwan in its deepest level, and we have integrated so much to the culture, the language, people, like everything for us feels like a second home, as you can see right there.
So there is a private joke behind this. So Dana asked me to set this up, and then we realized that it was this way.
I realized.
She realized that it was the wrong way around. Whatever, I'll put it like, yes, Taiwan, a place we now call home, our journey. It took us some time, I think, to call this place home, but definitely, I think we can both call it home today. I'm from France, and personally, I think that if I have to think about home now, the first thing that pops to my mind is definitely Taiwan, not France.
Because I think we came here so young and we discovered ourselves here. Really, truly, it was a whole journey of getting to know ourselves more, what we like, what we don't, what we want for our lives. And it's still very hard. We haven't figured it out.
Still in the process.
Still in the process. Yeah, it's been quite a journey. How do you know about Taiwan before you came here?
So I actually came to do an exchange program, like a lot of people here that we meet in
Yes.
Taiwan, foreigners here. Most of them, their first experience at Taiwan is exchange at university. So same for me. I was doing my bachelor's in Paris, in France. And in the second year, I think, or third year, you have to do a semester abroad. And to be honest with you, I had no idea about where I wanted to go. I just kind of looked at the possibilities, the places we could go to. And I wanted to go to Asia. Don't ask me why. I don't really know why. I just thought that my sister lived in Asia before, my older sister. So maybe that's why I was wanting to go to Asia too. And then there was a list of 4 or 5 countries: Philippines, Japan, Taiwan, South Korea. And then it was just kind of like the lottery, like just randomly picked out one. And so they picked Taiwan for me. And back then, the funny story, I had a girlfriend in France back then. It was a very passionate love, whatever. And it was
Very
a
French.
drama for me. She got South Korea, Seoul, and I got Taipei, Taiwan. At the
wow.
time, the worst thing in
I
my
didn't
life.
know that.
The whole class, because there was 20 people in our class going abroad, and I was the only one from the university, from the class, going to Taipei. How funny is it that my first reaction to Taiwan was, God, like, how unlucky am I that I wasn't picked?
ended
Why
up in that
only me?
place.
But in the end, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. So
Yeah, it was like kind of destiny that put you here and you ended up being here.
sounds cheesy, but it really is. Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
and then I came to Taiwan, and I was in Taipei, which is the capital in the north. And
live in the south now.
we live in the south. Taipei is a very big city. Those 6 months that I did in Taipei were actually pretty hard for me. I didn't have such a good time for personal reasons. Long story short, I felt like I was missing something with Taiwan. I felt like I wasn't done with it.
And then after that, you decided to come back, right?
It's a long story. It could go on for hours. I'll make it very short, but just to answer your question, when I went back to France, it was COVID, university closed. So all my plans just down the drain. I had nothing, no plan. I just knew that I wanted to travel. Traveling during COVID, you might say, how could I do that? And that's what I thought. And then I looked at this website of like working holiday visas. And there's like a list of, France has like 20 countries. I forgot. I think 20 countries. They have partnerships for those working holiday visas. And just this image in my head is crazy. And I want to share it. It's that there was this website with all of the countries in red, right? You cannot travel, you cannot travel, you cannot travel. And there was this one little country in green, Taiwan. And I looked at my ex. I told her, I've been wanting to go back to Taiwan because I feel like I didn't live the whole experience last time when I was there. I chose to come back on a working holiday visa. So that's a 1-year visa where you can go to a country. You don't have to work, but you can work if you want. Okay. It's a great visa. And Taiwan had it because Taiwan didn't have COVID. Taiwan is an island. And so it was much easier for Taiwan to have very strict regulations, quarantine regulations, mask regulations. So COVID didn't come into Taiwan. And so you had to do a 2-week quarantine in a hotel room. But once you did those 2 weeks, you were free to live in Taiwan. So we came here. And the big difference is that we found a job on Facebook, on this Facebook group, and it was in 𝘱𝘭𝘢. And that's why the second time I came to Taiwan was in the south, in 𝘱𝘭𝘢, the place we are here now. And to make it very short, I fell in love with Taiwan at that moment. And I never came back, but I was supposed to stay here for 3-4 months, we said, and then I was supposed to go back to France and do my master's.
Yeah.
This was just because we had this kind of like 4 or 5 month period with nothing planned, all of our plans down the drain. So let's do something. But those 3 months turned into 4 months. I remember I asked her, "Oh, can we stay 1 more month, please?" And she was like, "Okay." And then the 4 months turned into 5 months. I remember one day I woke up and I told her, "I don't think I'm going to go back. I can't. Like, I feel like I need to do something here." And so she went back by herself, and I haven't left since. And that was 3 years ago. 3 years ago.
I don't think that it's a place where you lost track of time, but it's definitely a place where you experience so much that 2 years, 3 years, they can feel like then. And they can feel like a whole different you, a whole different universe, a whole different everything. Because for us, we've been living here nonstop, right? But for other people that we've met, they come and go.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part, because you meet them, you form these very beautiful connections, and they leave. So you have to experience that pain and that go through that journey of like meeting people and knowing that they will eventually leave your life. And even when you're here and after you graduate, when you study here, you don't know what is going to happen later, because it's not your home country. You have to find a job to stay. You have to find a visa. Otherwise, you don't have health insurance. You don't have ARC. You don't have any possibilities to make up a life here. For me, it was the same, actually. For me, I didn't know anything about Taiwan. I didn't even look it up. It was more like I wanted to study Chinese. That was I graduated high school very young. So after that, I did 2 years in university in my country. My country is usually 5 years in Peru. I'm from Peru. I didn't say that.
You didn't say it yet?
I am from Peru. I studied translation at the beginning for 2 years. And then I decided to come here because one of my professors, he learned Chinese in Tainan. There's a Chinese language center in Tainan that's very good. He learned it there, and he was just pushing us to go there.
That's great.
He told us like Taiwan is this amazing place, and I'm like, okay. But I didn't swallow the information. I was so young. I was 18. And for me, it's like, I have to go. So when I was 18, I proposed to my dad, listen, I can go there, improve my Chinese, come back and graduate. That was my whole plan.
Was the plan, yeah.
Just 6 months is enough, right? I came here. After 6 months, I was like, I'm not going back. 6 more months, and then 1 year and 3 months. And that's how it started, because I first came here just to learn Chinese for 1 year. And then I went back, but I wanted to make a plan so I can stay here longer. So I decided to apply for a scholarship. I got it. But then COVID happened, so I couldn't come back to this country for maybe 2 years. Yes. I did my first year online, and then my 3 years I've been here. I will graduate soon, but yeah, it was really hard. But the whole change was me moving from a little city where I studied Chinese that is very traditional. Not a lot of people where you live now in Tainan, still in the south, but it just feels different. You know, the whole environment, the whole vibe. When you move to a bigger city that is Kaohsiung, that I live here now, it's crazy, so big. You cannot move around without having a scooter, a motorcycle. So you feel in a rush. It's like a big city, but at the same time, no. I can get to the beach. I can see mountains. Like the weather is so beautiful and it's so hot sometimes, of course, so humid. But I enjoy so much that it really became my second home.
Now that you know, Dana's from Peru, I'm from France, how we ended up here. How did these two people that had nothing in common
Not even the language, you know?
Not even the language, yeah. Because back then, your English, you were still in the beginning of...
Yeah, that's true. That's one of the things that I can tell that I feel proud about English. In my country, there's no opportunities to speak. And I had like zero experience, like having a conversation, getting into deep topics, talking about like very controversial topics. For me, was a big no. And I was so scared of speaking. But when you come here and you don't speak Chinese, you have to speak English.
Yeah, people tend to forget that when
you speak English.
Survival is first.
Survival is English.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And if you can speak Chinese, it's a plus. And we'll talk about it later. It's a huge plus because I think from the moment we learn Chinese onwards, like our life in Taiwan changed a lot because it gives you access to
a lot of things.
But yeah, how did we meet? That's a good question.
Okay, so I remember 3 years ago, I went to this bar, a bar we still go to.
Yeah.
And we had a friend in common, different in common, introduced me to this girl. And the first time that I saw her, Tati, I love you. The first time I saw her, something happened. Something clicked. I think it was the first like Latin American people that I've seen in Taiwan.
She's from Nicaragua.
You know? She's from Nicaragua. So I saw her and the first word she said, "Where are you from?" in Spanish. And I'm like, I'm from Peru. Yeah, de donde eres? I'm from Peru. And she's like, Nicaragua. And we screamed. And then she was the one who introduced me to this.
True, because she was my roommate.
The thing is that we realized we were in the same university.
True.
Exactly. You were studying Chinese
and you were doing
and then we started hanging out. It was like that. As simple as that.
Yeah, and I don't have
a timeline, right?
Yeah, I think my memory is just bad in general because since I'm in Taiwan, because life is such a roller coaster here. You meet,
I am old.
No, but I am. But you meet so many people every day,
Yes,
every
that's
week.
true,
You're
that's
speaking.
true.
Sometimes I speak French with my family back in France, English, Chinese.
Yeah.
So many languages, so
Yeah,
many
so
people.
many languages.
It's all so
It's crazy.
It's hard to remember everything. Trust me.
That's how we started, but we've been through so much because the three of us, we became really close. After that, we met a lot of people. So we created this little like group. And that was our first year. Very intense. It was a really big group with a lot of experiences that, wow, I never imagined myself being part of like such a nice and complicated group of friends, but I loved it. That was a really great time.
Just memories that
Just
like,
memories.
we'll keep for our whole
And
life.
the thing is, like, we also became close because I was learning French, but at that time I was just beginning learning French. Like,
So there's
French.
another language in the whole
Yeah,
picture.
it's another. I'm studying languages, so it's
She's
like
studying French in Taiwan, and she's learning Chinese as well, and she was improving her English. So you're learning 3 languages at the time.
I'm still learning. Yes,
We're still
like
learning
languages is just a whole process.
Oh
like,
yeah, there's no end date. Or
the fact that when you're at the university, you have so many courses, you cannot focus on learning a language. It's so hard.
no, yeah. And I think everybody's way of learning a language is different, but I think we've both kind of learned here that the best way to learn is to immerse yourself in the
Exactly.
culture, to be with Taiwanese people, to go to local Taiwanese places and places where you don't have the choice. It's not like, oh, maybe I could switch to Chinese now and stuff. No, like you arrive, boom, Chinese.
Exactly.
And I think that's when your Chinese went to the next level, is when you kind of
Yeah,
left
and
the whole just reading in a book and learning like those
yes, that's way different.
pre-made
like,
sentences and actually went out there.
on languages, especially Chinese, you go through this learning curve. Sometimes you feel my Chinese, my English, any other language, even my mother tongue is so shitty. I cannot even find the words because I have so many languages in my head. So I have to switch. But then my mom doesn't speak English. So I have to find a word in Spanish. So I'm like this, and then French. And then like I forgot my French because it's so close to Spanish, right?
Yeah.
And then my Chinese. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Oh, 100%.
It's so, yeah, sometimes I feel like, oh yeah, I'm cool, I'm cool, I speak
good.
well, I'm
My
good.
Chinese is on point.
And then sometimes I forgot everything in a day, or I remember everything in a day. Is that crazy? But what I love about how we met is that we became more close because we fell in love with Taiwan. Maybe we have other friends in common. Didn't happen to them because we were so into, I want to learn more about history, Aboriginal people, the language. So we were so like into wanting to really be integrated. Of course, like behaving like them because you have to respect their culture. Like it's a whole process. It took us years to get to this point where we feel very comfortable with Taiwanese people and we understand them.
Yeah. Oh, totally. What you were saying about the fact that we had this grouping in the beginning of a lot of foreigners. The foreigners were all here for 6 months. Like you were saying earlier, when you're an exchange student, there's an end date, right? I don't know how to say this in English, in French. Date de péremption, if anybody French is listening. When you eat food and it says like the date, the end date, right?
Like
you say that in?
过期.
I don't know. That's in Chinese?
过期时间,
Okay.
Like when you expire something. When
expiration, something like that. You get us. It's crazy. That's why it makes our friendships, you were talking about that, so strong and so intense and passionate. It's because there's an expiry date. Like there's a day where it all ends, where the person takes their flight back to Europe, back to South America, and it ends there. The chapter finishes, right? And that group we had, I think that's why it was so intense, because one of them was leaving on January 20th, one of them was leaving on February 2nd. Right. And I remember every time we're like, okay, we have 2 more weekends. We have 1 more weekend. And I think that group was great for us personally. And I think it's the same for you. We didn't try to make another group. To replace them. And they're irreplaceable. If you're watching, guys, what we lived with you, there's nothing.
Nothing compared.
But that's also important, is personally, I had that thing of like, okay, I lived that. It's good. But exactly like you said, it's not Taiwan. It's fun. It's what you're supposed to live during your youth, but something's missing. We need to go with the Taiwanese. We need to integrate, right? And that's when we chose to kind of put less energy and effort and energy in that.
Because for me, friendships are so important for us.
Yeah.
We've been in a roller coaster in this friendship, you know that. So now we're just telling a part of the story, but it's just very long and very
it would take
dramatic.
5 seasons of this podcast.
It will take like so long to actually share our journey. But these are the most important moments. It's how we met each other, how we fell in love with Taiwan.
How we became so close, like you said, is that group, all the fun we had. But what made Dana and me that close is I think we were both staying. We saw all the people leave. Goodness me, how many times did we have to hug people crying? And we went to the same restaurant all the time. Remember at the corner, the 𝘱𝘭𝘢𝘤𝘠. And we would say goodbye to everybody there. Yeah. And we saw all these people leave, but we were both like, looked at each other like, we're still here, you know?
We're
And
still
we
here.
want more out of Taiwan. And we
Yes.
don't want to do a season 2 of what we just had.
No, we
and
didn't
that
want
was
to.
the switch, I think, then. When we
After-
started hanging out, us two with Taiwanese people. And then there's all of these stories
Exactly.
when we went to Maolin, like all these
Beautiful.
places that we went together and that we realized, started singing songs. For me, it's so important in our friendship, in our life, in our
Music.
journey here in Taiwan. Songs. I have a Taiwanese songs tattooed on my arm here, and it might look like stupid, like why did this guy like tattoo like 2 Chinese characters? But I'm so proud of it because
It
it's a
means so
song,
much.
and that song was our song. It's called Shanghai, and that was our song that year, that first year. And when we started hearing Taiwanese songs and going to nightclubs and seeing the Taiwanese people singing the songs they love singing in
That is
Taiwan,
beautiful.
which is not the
Yes, a
case in
big
France.
culture. It's
So,
a big cultural difference. But after everything we've been through in Taiwan, I think like Taiwan has given us so many lessons in life regarding everything. I think I've never learned that much before coming here as a person, because here I became more independent. I started to choose my friends. I started to do things more by myself. I was pretty independent before, but Taiwan changed me, I think, in a way of rediscovering myself in a really deep level of me being exposed to so many things without anyone backing me up, because my family is not here. And some people are very lucky to have their families here, and that's amazing. But I wanted to mention that because our friendship, the fact that we're alone here and we became family.
Exactly.
Because we chose to. We realized that it was so important to cultivate a really good friendship.
100%, yeah, because friends become family when you're so
do.
far from home. Even though now we call this place home, but that's because we have family here now, right? And home is a place where you have a family. So it was very important for us to like you said, cultivate our friendships. I think that's something that would happen anywhere in the world, right?
Yes.
Like we're talking about our life here in Taiwan, but we're also talking about these very important years in our life. I arrived in Taiwan, I was 21, 22, and now I'm 25. So definitely very important years in your life where you discover a lot of things. But like you said, the fact that we're so far from home and we're not backed by our family, but in the end, we're still alone here. You know what I
We're
mean?
still
Like
alone, and it feels lonely sometimes.
it does. And family can give us advice and support us, but in the end, we're here, they're not. And so that, I think that makes you learn a lot about independence and just decision taking and all of that. So definitely that's one of the major lessons, I think.
So what do you think Taiwan has taught you?
Whoa, Taiwan has taught me so much. I think definitely it's about something along the line of leaving your comfort zone, definitely. And more than that, because that sounds a bit cheesy, you know?
Okay, let's be cheesy.
Yeah, let's be cheesy. We can be cheesy on Happy Brownie. It's more like leaving your culture behind. It's important to always stay, you know, like to bring your culture with you in a way, of course, you know? It's who you are. But you're also building yourself here. So if you come here with your very French culture or Peruvian culture and your Peruvian mindset or French mindset, and you stay stuck in that, I don't think you're going to live the most out of this
Exactly.
experience. So I think the biggest lesson I've learned was definitely like
Stepping out,
and it's okay sometimes to forget that you're French, you know? Like
yeah,
you're
it's okay to
Taiwanese
forget.
here now.
And also, we don't have to label ourselves because we come from a country, because now there's so many stereotypes. Like I come here, they just call me Latina. I'm Latina. And for them, of course, like I know like they've never been that exposed to Latin American culture in general, but they have a very specific stereotype. It's the same with French people.
Okay.
You know, it's not that a lot of people judge you, but they don't know you. And here it's so hard because at the beginning, even to make friends with Taiwanese people, it's really hard to break that barrier.
The
you know?
cultural gap and
The cultural gap, like the way we express ourselves is so loving. So, and then you have to learn to step like
that was the hardest thing, I
back
think.
a little bit.
How important is humor in French culture? It's so important.
But I still love it. And now that
It's very
we
hard here.
speak Chinese to the level that we can joke,
Yeah.
and then we can, you know, kind of get like, oh, okay, this is funny for
Yeah.
them. And then you
It's just different
learn
humor,
you learn to speak like them, to act like them, not because you want to copy them, but because you respect them so much and you love this country so much.
That's
你
sorry.
笑什么？
我笑你刚刚说的哦。
你刚
Because I
刚
think
说什么？
that's so real. Like I sometimes think of it like people might think like I'm acting or I'm trying to
Yes, but
copy
it's
them.
not like
It's
we're
us
copying
now,
them.
you know, like
it's us. Oh,
I was about to insult you, you know, in Taiwanese.
Copia. You know, like we had the and the la.
Since it's a tonal language, so
Yes.
there's tones. So in French or Spanish, we have intonations. So like you can say one word in many different ways, whether you're angry, sad, or whatever. in Chinese you can't.
No.
So you add something at the end.
At the end.
Ah, la, oh, which will add the emotion
Yes,
to it.
we'll add the emotion.
And Taiwanese people love to do it.
I love to do it
and so
too,
we do
like,
it too now.
我很开心啊。
很开心啊，对啊。
So it's like cute, but at the same time, you understand how that culture works based on the way they speak. So it's
100%.
crazy. It's crazy because
That's what
like,
language brought us. A
language
deeper
brought us.
understanding of Taiwan.
And for me, it was so hard to break that. In any other language, I can ask you questions. I'm really open. I just go for it, right? In Chinese, I wait for them to ask because I don't know how to break that. When you first meet someone, there's like this kind of like, oh fuck, should I ask them where they're from? Or fuck, but they're Taiwanese. But if they're not Taiwanese, which part of Asian they are?
That happened to me yesterday at the club.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met a guy in the club. Maybe we were a little bit drunk. Maybe that didn't help.
Who
and
knows?
Maybe Happy Brownie allows drinking. And I just straight up started speaking Chinese to him because I was like, I was in the mood, right? He looked at me with like big eyes. He was like, I'm from Turkmenistan, bro. I was like, whoa, sorry, shit.
Bro, it happened to me before too. But yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. But we've been so lucky. Even if we ended up here, not because we were like, that's my dream. Taiwan became a dream for us. It became a home for us. I think the hardest thing when I get more close to Taiwanese people, when I try to explain them my cultural situation, they get so surprised because when I share that with them, they're like, they don't believe it.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to try to transmit those feelings or try to explain them the situation. It's a very safe country.
Very safe country.
Very safe country.
Yeah. Which is why sometimes a lot of Taiwanese tourists abroad are very shocked about what they see or what they live because they're in this bubble of safety here where the police is everywhere and people...
I want to share something. Yeah. When I first came here, at the beginning I was so surprised because they were wearing masks, but with time you realize it's because of the weather. Sometimes pollution is really high.
Yeah.
So that's why COVID for them was so easy because they were so used to wearing masks. I thought it was a little bubble of paradise and everything was so perfect. But with time you realize it's not. It's still a beautiful country. Yeah, you live here, you get more integrated to everything, even the food. I love stinky tofu. I love hot pot. I love everything. Yeah, he doesn't mind. I would like to go back the fact that I mentioned that Taiwan is not perfect. I've been so happy, but at the same time, so sad. And I've experienced a lot of emotions. Everything is so intense. And you feel like if you don't enjoy it in this moment, you don't know when you will go back to that memory or when you will find the same group of friends. So it's crazy. What do you think about the fact that...
I totally agree. On a personal level, Taiwan is not perfect. Our journey here in Taiwan, there's been ups and downs, of course. And even on the bigger picture, like here it says Taiwan, a place we now call home. Home doesn't mean it's a perfect place, right?
Yeah.
I would never say France is perfect, far from perfect. I still love France. Same in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Taiwan is far from perfect. It's true. When we arrived here, I think we were very because of, like you said, safety and because people are very nice in Taiwan. We were like, oh, wow.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
It's perfect. But little by little, you start realizing like, wow, it's not perfect.
And that's exactly, I think, why we can call it home now. It's because we're not in that bubble that a lot of exchange students that we meet here are. They're like, oh, I want to come back one day. Yeah, but do it. And then you'll see that there's a lot of problems here as well. There's racism. They're not very open on the world. It's true. It's an island. There's an island mentality. As a foreigner, we'll always be foreigners no matter how much we try to integrate.
How much.
And we have our reputation,
That's the hardest part.
Yeah. And a lot of other things, people here like to snitch on people, for example, like if your neighbor's car is parked badly, you can call the cops and you can get money from it by telling on him. That's something when I realized that, I was like, oh goodness. But those are things that we have to accept, when you're living somewhere, you accept the goods, the bads. And that's also, I think, why we love Taiwan so much is because we don't love Taiwan in like a naive kind of like, oh, Taiwan's perfect kind of way. No, we know Taiwan's positive things here, the negative things here.
Everything. We've experienced everything.
And that makes it Taiwan, and that makes it our home today.
Sometimes we can miss the place where we grew up.
Of course.
For you, you've like moved places, but for me, only Peru my whole life. But I've always felt like an outsider too, I would say that, in Peru, because I wanted to do things different. I think different. And when I got to Taiwan, at the beginning, even if I thought that it was a bubble, I opened up that bubble and I just jump outside. So I felt like I found my freedom, personal freedom here, real friendship and real friends and family. And I call it home, not because I grew up here or I was born here or I will live here my whole life, but I call it home because in this island and these people has become such a very important part of my my daily life. And I've experienced so much. I've met so many great people. I'm so grateful. I'm still meeting amazing people. And it's just this constant discovery of who you are, what you want to do in Taiwan. Do you want to stay? Do you want to leave? Do you have to take a decision? It's draining, but it's okay because we've already been here for many years and we love it so much. And we will always have a place to go back and call it home because it's already our home.
Yeah. And I think it's very true what you just said about we always have to figure out what's the next step.
In Taiwan,
right?
yes.
And like you said in the beginning when you were telling about how you ended up here, you said you came here for 6 months and then you did plus 1 year and then plus. Same for me. I was here for 3 months. It turned into 6, and then I added 1 more year. I went back to France for a summer. I came back.
Yeah,
it's not stable. Our life here isn't stable.
Exactly,
to be honest,
it's not stable. You're always facing something new.
Yeah,
and because it's not stable, you're in a constant rush of.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to decide. Maybe when you're back in your home country, it's just such a comfortable place.
Yeah, I don't feel that.
You don't feel it, right?
If I would have stayed in France, would have been. I mean, everything was kind of set.
Yeah.
Here we're out of
that.
Yeah, which is very scary. Don't get us wrong.
Scary.
It's very scary.
It's so scary. I'm still scared, up
course.
until today. And I don't know, do your taxes or, find a job and find something you like. And then even if your Chinese is good, it's
never good enough.
It's never good enough.
Never good enough.
Even for Taiwanese people. And I've talked with them. They tell me they speak Chinese daily, every day, and they tell me their Chinese is shit because they know the level that you can reach in Chinese.
Yeah.
It's so hard even for them, even when they're kids and you teach them because we work as teachers too.
That's what I love about teaching is I'm like, when I see the kids, I'm like, wow, they're the future people of Taiwan. Yeah.
Yes.
They're the future people who are going to be voting in Taiwan.
Exactly.
I think you maybe don't know, but Taiwan is in a very tricky geopolitical situation. So
yes, it's
I'm
very
like,
tricky.
These are the Taiwanese of tomorrow. And I love seeing that, right?
I love seeing
how
that
they're
too.
Getting built.
Even if we know that we would like to do something else, but right now, sometimes it's just the only way to stay in Taiwan. That's true. And that's why I think for all of us as foreigners here, we find it so hard to really be accepted these couple of years, little by little, that acceptance and that validation that I needed, living in this kind of society. I got it. Chatting with a ma or just going to the market in the morning, traditional market, and buying fruits. And they see me and sometimes they ask me did you grow up here? And I'm like, no, I didn't.
I think people start asking us this now because our Chinese has gotten a little bit better.
Also, yeah.
So they're like, wait, this person's probably, born here.
Yesterday I went to the store and then I asked the foodie and they're like, if they sell paulita, which is a traditional Aboriginal drink. She was so surprised. So these little things that make you realize, fuck, am I really that integrated? Yes, we are. And we love it. And that doesn't mean we're just neglecting our backgrounds and upbringing. It just means we rediscover a whole new world.
Oh, yeah.
A whole new world in Taiwan.
Oh.
And
we don't know if we'll be here in 5 years or 10 years.
Exactly, we don't know. I just feel like I will always come back even if I leave. And I feel we'll always come back.
Or will we find a new Taiwan? Because that's what we wish for everybody here. The message we want to give everybody is that for us it was Taiwan, but it could be anywhere else in the world for anybody else out there.
Another country.
So maybe for us, we'll have another Taiwan in our life somewhere else.
We fell in love with Taiwan, with the people here. We have this beautiful friendship that I love. The fact that we've support each other through hard times. It's been like this, but it's just beautiful because I don't think I've had any other friendship like this, at least in my 20s. And it's hard sometimes to explain this relationship and experiences to people that we recently meet.
Yeah.
Or people that maybe we've met for a long time, but they don't get it.
I think the key point, the key word of our relationship is it's more like Taiwan. Brotherhood, sisterhood, than friendship.
Yes, it's like
sometimes
that.
I fucking hate you like a sister, you know, goodness me, and sometimes, you know what I mean?
You're so annoying, you're so French.
But what's so important is that, like we were saying earlier on, right? We're family here. And it sounds cliche, but trust me, I followed Dana's evolution and her growth, and you followed mine. And
we look so different back then.
Yeah, but we're still here. And that's what I love about it. Even for some people, maybe 3 years, 4 years doesn't sound that long. But like we said, here, the time is such a different thing here in Taiwan. So it feels like 10, 20 years.
It feels
to be
so
honest
different.
with you.
I think we have a lot of topics to touch with Taiwan. And yeah, that's why we're here, because we would like to share our experience, and it's such a beautiful beautiful, beautiful story and history, and we're still living that every day. Because sometimes when you talk about life with someone, you remember what happened, but this is like just last year.
Yeah. Or yesterday night.
Yesterday night, like
in 1 hour, because we're going to
in 1 hour.
We're going to a very local dinner in 1 hour.
So this is just the first touch with Taiwan.
Yeah, and
you.
𝙃𝙊𝙈 will have 𝙃𝙊𝙈 will have other episodes with other guests about many other topics.
This is the first one. You're watching the first one.
This is the first one, and this one is about, our life here, our journey. But yeah, Happy Brownie will have a lot of other topics, and you will get to know 𝙃𝙈 more and more throughout each topic. And I'll be back in the future if you guys want to talk more about our life in Taiwan, because like we said, we could talk for hours.
We could talk for hours, and it's just so beautiful how everything we've learned about this island, what we're still learning, we're still trying to discover ourselves here. So please,
we'll love to share.
If you're here, if you don't know Taiwan, just come here, just visit, or I hope you can find your Taiwan,
your home.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please spread some love.
Yay.
This is a very important conversation for us, and see you next Tuesday. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Happy Brownie.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Dude, that was super pro. I was being super pro in the end.
Okay, one more time.
That was really good. No, I was being super pro. That was good.
Thanks for listening.
That was good.
I will not edit this part. I'm just...
Shut up. Let's go.
Okay, we need to eat. Goodbye.
We're hungry. It was good. I like the ending. It was good.
It was good.
Find your Taiwan. Find your home.
Yes, find your Taiwan.
That's because I'm a journalist. I always go back to the key question. A place we now call home. Bah!